Hello, all you aspiring photographers. I'm here with Safa. She is from Australia and I'm from Canada, both online lifestyle marketers. Our intention today is to be able to share with you how to edit photos very quickly on your phone or on your computer using two different platforms. So Safa's gonna go through Lightroom and I'm gonna go through an app called Snapseed. Click on the link below, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send you do's and don'ts of editing. Safa, take it away with Lightroom.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to show everyone. I've actually been editing with Lightroom for about 2 to 3 years now. I actually created one of these photos. So as you know, photos is so important, especially in your business, whatever the case may be, your movie sets, your marketing, Instagram, YouTube, whatever the case may be, photos are always important. They're kind of like a window into yourself and who you are. So I'm actually going to show you guys an actual tutorial of how to edit photos. So this is a photo we took last week on our holiday. So as you can tell, it's quite washed out. Now I took this with a very professional Nikon D5500, but you guys don't need any professional, like gear to be able to create really valuable content. All you need basically is a DSLR to be able to use Lightroom, but I'm actually gonna show you guys the quick basics, how to really transform a photo. As you can tell, the whites in this photo are really, really overpowered. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to dim the highlights. Okay, as you can tell, it's already changed. Okay, it's not so overpowered. It's not, I can see the subjects. I'm actually going to lift the warmness of it to make it more, more friendly, more inviting, but that's my style. You guys can completely edit the way you guys want it. If you want it more cooler, you can definitely have that. If you want it definitely more brighter, you can have that as well. I'm just going to lift the temperature enough for me. It works for me. I'm going to lift the contrast, and then I'm going to go back because obviously I don't want it too yellow. So I'm going to lift the exposure just a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. Also, can you see in the background, there's a lot of shadows? I'm going to lift the shadows so that way I can see, the beautiful green leaves in the background. Okay, so I want to up the vibrance. Okay, and then I'm going to go back because it's more yellow. You don't want your subjects to be more yellow. You really don't. If anything, you want them to be more cool. I'm going to dim the whites just a little bit. And then I'm going to up the clarity. Now, clarity basically is to bring the subject to clarity so it's more clear. And then I'm going to add a little bit of saturation. You don't want to add too much saturation, guys. You don't want to look like an Oompa Loompa. So that is a little bit of a saturation. Now I'm going to go to my brush and I'm going to play with the sharpness because obviously you can tell the sharpness is at 61. I'm going to bring more sharpness to the subject, which is my husband and my daughter. Okay. And then I can even play with the exposure here. Okay, so I'm going to then dim a little bit of the highlights, and then that's what I'm going to do. So obviously, if you can't tell from here, the subjects are a little bit more clearer, more focused, more sharp than the background. I'm going to lift up the clarity as well. I'm going to press done. You guys make sure after you press the brush, it took me a very long time to realize this, and I realized why was it making any changes. It's because I wasn't clicking done. Okay, so as you can tell, I can already tell the difference between the background and the subjects. I'm bringing more focus to the subjects, and then I'm going to go back into my my brush, and I'm going to play with the sharpness, and I'm going to dim it a bit more down, and I'm going to brush all over the background. Play things that I don't want to bring to focus. Okay, like I said, guys, Lightroom does take a little bit of time to learn, but once you master it, it's a sure win. Okay, there we go. As you can tell, there's a massive difference to the before and after. Photo's not done yet, but it just goes you a little bit. I'm going to show you the before and after. It just goes to show how you can truly, truly transform a photo from something like this to this. It just goes to show, guys. And that's it. That's nice and easy.
That's brilliant, Safa. Thank you so much for showing us that. And you guys, honestly, you guys have to understand that it really, really does matter how much what your photography looks like online. If you're taking, like, clearly that was a beautiful shot, but it wasn't powerful enough, because what photography actually does is it actually can pull us out. It actually takes away the beauty of the colors and everything. How many times have you taken a picture of the sunset and you're like, oh, that totally doesn't look like how it looked for me? So what we're doing with photography is we are basically kind of taking it back into a place where it looks real, right? Where it's actually what the human eye sees. So the more real it looks, the more powerful. So thank you, Safa, so much for showing us that. A really good introduction to Lightroom. And so, like, it's not about being too fussy about it. It's about how can I take this picture from being blown out, not powerful, to really what actually it looked like. Because a powerful image creates emotion, and emotion creates a connection for people, right? So I'm going to show you the second platform that we're going to use is called Snapseed. So the biggest thing for me, I worked on Survivor. I traveled. I worked, like, I paid $50,000 just for photography training at one point. You know, it doesn't, like Safa said, you do not need expensive gear, you guys. I take most of my pictures from my phone. You know, I'll tape it to my ceiling and use Timer Cam. It's an app to take a picture. So it doesn't have to be fancy. It's really about angles and how you edit pictures. So really quickly, I'm going to show you guys an edit that I did recently that is very powerful. And it's right here. Oh, what happened to that picture? It kind of went really small. So basically, you can kind of see the picture. I don't know what happened to it. It got really, really small there. But basically, the before and after is like really, really crazy, right? Like, you can actually, that doesn't even look like the same picture. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you exactly how I did that on my phone, okay? So there's an app that you need. It's called Snapseed. And it is a free app. So I want you to be able to download that app, and we're going to go through this really quick. Doesn't have to be super fancy. I'm just going to share my screen. All right. You guys can see this, right? Safa, can you see that?
Sure can, sure can.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Snapseed. This is the before picture, okay? So the biggest thing, obviously, you do want to set up your pictures so that you can, and this is going to be in the do's and don't list that Safa and I are going to send you. If you subscribe to the link below and you enter your email, I'm going to send you more detail. Obviously, we don't want to waste a ton of time breaking everything down. We want to give you something that you can use that's tangible. So, but setting up your picture is very important. So number one, we need good lighting. Very, very important. You can't fix a picture that has really, really terrible lighting. Luckily for this picture, we have lots of lighting. So good lighting and good composition. So it's basically the way the picture is. So what I'm gonna do for this one is, the first thing I'm gonna do is click on Tools, and I'm gonna crop it. So I have a pretty good idea. Also, the picture's a little bit crooked. So in Snapseed, you can hit something called Rotate, and it will actually rotate it so it's more straight. See how it kind of did that? So you can hit that. Then I'm going to go to Tools, and I'm going to crop this picture. And just to be clear, the reason I picked this picture is because the edit is so drastic. So I'm going to crop it just enough. There we go. So that I make it a little bit smaller. Then what I'm going to do is go into Tools. So this, what I'm showing you literally, you guys, is exactly how I edit every single picture, okay? What I also want to explain to you is that when you edit pictures, using a consistent way that you edit is very important. So whatever you do, do it consistent. Also, find your own way. You know, you're gonna see what I do, but find your own image, because what you really want is people to be scrolling through a feed and then know that when they see yours, that it's yours. So don't go crazy with creativity and be changing everything every time. Find your structure, find what you like your photos to look like. Try and keep it as natural as possible, and then be consistent about it, right? So the very first thing that I do is I go into highlights. I'm gonna brighten the picture up. Highlights, I'm gonna go into brightness, increase the brightness. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into details. I love details because it kind of starts to make the picture pop. It's really good for structure on the body, not great for selfies. And I'll show you something, a little trick for selfies on how to like not make yourself look super grainy and old. But that's basically it. So turning up the structure. Then what I'm gonna do is see how the picture got kind of orange because there's orange lighting. I'm gonna go back into ambiance, turn up the ambiance a little bit, but it's getting very orange. So I'm gonna go into saturation. Turn down the saturation just enough. Then go back into tools. I'm gonna go into brush, exposure. What brush and exposure does is it allows me to be able to do things. So what I'm gonna do right now is exposure is gonna allow me to lighten up the area all around myself. The whites, always make the whites whiter. That's my look, I like to do it. I might even go a little bit higher on the exposure. Do all this, perfect. So see how I'm brushing, and you guys, I'm not gonna do this perfectly. I just want you guys to get the concept. You can zoom in on a picture. You know, I can get really close to my face if I want and get rid of that, okay? So then it's still orange in some spots. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to crop. I'm gonna get rid of some of the orange. I'm gonna get a little bit smaller on this. There we go. Another thing I wanna show you is something called healing. Healing is one of my favorite. So with healing, if there's a person, I've literally been on the beach and had like a ton of people in the background, and then been like, oh, I want to get those people out of there. Healing's amazing. So what healing will do is if you slide your finger where like you want to erase something. Wow. Look at that. You can't even tell that that window wasn't there, right? It's amazing. So there's a little, also I can see over here, you know, that was the grate on the bottom of the floor. Again, it's a little bit more orange on the screen than it actually looks on my phone, just so you know. But again, if your photo's too orange, you can go back into tools and you can turn down the saturation, okay? So see how it starts to get a little bit less orange, right? Then what you can do is go back into details. As you see, I've lost some of the details from doing that.
That's baby Mozart.
Yes, honey, baby Mozart. Sorry, my son is in here. So basically what I'm gonna do is, this is obviously very different picture than what I showed you in the beginning. The very last thing I wanna show you before I go is just exactly what I used. So I used crop, top right corner, to get rid of, to compose the picture to where I wanted to be. The second thing I did was I went into tune image, I increased highlights, and I increased brightness. Now, when you increase highlights, there's something called a blowout that can happen. If you start to see where it almost looks like it's like, it gets too extreme. Look at the highlights, it's too much. It'll decrease clouds in the sky and stuff like that. The second thing is brightness will wash out color. Ambiance will bring back the color into your skin. It will bring back the color into everything. But if it gets too orange or too saturated, you turn down your saturation. Healing will get rid of anything that you don't want to see in your picture. Rotate will straighten your picture. So details increases structure, which makes things pop, kind of like Safa was able to do it kind of with her finger, which I do like in Lightroom, that you can do it with your finger instead of doing the whole picture. So play with these images. Don't go over the top with it. Don't get too over creative with it, because what you'll do is you'll start to create images that just really aren't believable, and you don't want to do that either. I hope that you're able to find something that will work for you to edit your pictures on the go. Really, all that matters is that you find your own unique way to take pictures. That's all that matters. Safa and I are going to send you a do and don't list of more specific things on composition and how you can take good pictures.
Not everyone comes from a photography background. Not everyone has, you know, these tips handy to be able to really take and create really great content. Everyone would love those do's and don'ts, so that way they know what to, you know, steer away from or use to the best of their ability. Whenever you see a photo on Pinterest or Google or any single like Instagram, you're allowed to mirror it, as long as within the boundaries of yourself, meaning use your individual style into that, you know, sort of, you know, pose or photo or content or whatever the case may be. As long as you guys aren't copying it, you can mirror it and just be you. Be you, because above all, that's what makes you great.
Love it. Because the whole concept with being somebody that can create content online is be able to create a lot and quickly. Because Safa and I both post very powerful content every day that gets so many likes, so many shares, and it's because we've learned to do this very quickly, and that's the whole point. So hope this is helpful. Have a great day, guys. Take care.